Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Porto in Portugal once again, and we're going to revisit the Colossus craft brewery, or Cerveja Colossus as they would be known in Portuguese. So for this one we're going to have a taste of one of the two beers that they started off with. You saw me review the other one a few weeks back, the Wanderlust American style IPA. So this one is the Adamanteia. It's a smoked wit beer and it comes in at 4.5%. Now I did have a little taste of this beer when I was at the Market Hall Wines Durham event. They had a couple of the Portuguese craft beers. They had 3 from the Colossus craft brewery and had a few different wines as well, all of which were really quite nice. And I do recommend you check out Market Hall Wines in Durham if you get the chance. Dave is a real expert in his wine, and Mike is really into both wine a little bit and quite into his craft beer as well. But very knowledgeable guys, very nice. I'll put the link to their Facebook page in the description below, and that keeps you up to date with all the things that you're getting in. So do make sure you give them a visit if you get the chance. If you are particularly interested in Portuguese craft beer as well, make sure you check out my friend Craig over at Kent Beer Reviews. His wife is Portuguese. He goes to Madeira quite a lot, so he's got a lot of Portuguese reviews on his channel as well. So I'll put his link to his YouTube channel down there as well, so make sure you check him out as well. Very nice chap again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's a really interesting beer, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this. So as always, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Cerveja Colossus before. This is my second review from them, and you will see another one in the very near future, the Vasco Imperial Stout. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Portuguese beers I've reviewed for you. Hopefully I can add to that over the next little while, but Portuguese beer, like I said, is quite hard to get. It's good to see that it's starting to get out there, but as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Colossus craft brewery, then on to my brewery notes, and I will say thank you to Hal for providing all this information for me. So as I've told you before, the Colossus craft brewery are based in Porto in Portugal, and they were founded back in 2015 by Hal Oliveira. So Hal had been a home brewer since 2013, and he started brewing because the selection of microbreweries in Portugal was just very, very small at the time, and he basically wanted to make beers that he enjoyed drinking. So he developed his first recipe when he was finishing his business degree, and he was also working in IT support as well over the phone. But he eventually quit his job in early 2015, and by June he had the brewery up and running at full capacity. But he started with 2 recipes, one of course which was the Wanderlust IPA, and then you had this guy here which was the Adamanteia, and the positive feedback that he received for these beers really encouraged him to kind of refine the recipes a little bit. And he also started contract brewing to meet the demand, because his beers did prove to be really quite popular. But at the moment they're working to expand their brewery capacity to around 6,000 litres per month, which is actually a 10-fold increase on what they've done before, and they're starting to export their beers as well. They've only just very recently arrived in England, of course, and I believe they're working to try and get them into Germany and also over to Japan and things like that as well, which is pretty cool. But the brewery's named Colossus because Hal actually really likes Greek mythology, and also because the word is easily recognisable and pronounceable in various different languages across the world. But the Colossus of Rhodes was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and it was a beacon for ships coming into the harbour. It was supposed to symbolise trade, civilization and returning home as well. And I guess, you know, that kind of is a bit of symbolic of the craft beer movement these days, because there's so many different collaboration brews going on between people from different countries, and that's the whole idea of craft beer. It's meant to bring friends together and help you create new friends over kind of good food and good tastes and all these kind of things. So I do quite like that little bit of symbolism that that the brewery has with that. I think Colossus is quite a good name for them. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery. Thank you again to Hal for giving me all the information on these guys. Like I said, I'll put the Facebook page and the website and stuff in the description below, so if you want to find a little bit more, do check them out, and just message Hal and actually ask him a little bit about the company if you are interested. He took quite a bit of time and was telling me all about the mythology and things like that as well, which was really cool. But in that, of course, it comes into the name of this beer too. So let's get on to the actual taste of this, the tasting section of this beer. Sorry. So yeah, like I mentioned, this one is a 4.5% smoked wit beer. The notes that I actually have on the name of this beer are quite interesting, because it's named after Adamanteia, who helped raise the infant Zeus and hide him from his father. From what I understand, it's smoked wheat that's in this beer. as well. I'm not sure if it's German smoked wheat, but you know, it won't have that kind of same effect, I guess, as the Rauch beers, the likes of Schlenkerla and things. But from what I remember, it is a really quite interesting and quite quirky beer. Smoked wit beers, of course, are ones that always do interest me. If you've watched the channel before, you will know that I just absolutely love anything that's a smoked beer. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. There you can see Adamanteia, as I said, she helped raise the infant Zeus. You can see this beer does have its own bottle cap as well, the A on the top there, but otherwise the label's, you know, kind of quite plain. It's just quite subtle, this, and I do like the style of artwork that that these guys have on their beers. It is just, you know, quite nicely done and quite tasteful, and that's what you always want when it comes to craft beer. So yeah, without further ado then, let's get this beer open and just see how we get on. Looking forward to this one. Oh, this one has just decided it didn't want to open. Yeah, okay. So let's get it out then, and we'll have a taste. And as you can see, this guy is pouring a really pale, goldeny straw colour. Just look at that. It's going to have quite a big head on it. I'm supposing they will have used Belgian yeast in it. Getting very close to the end of the bottle, so I'll just follow through with it. That head will go down over the next little while. But yeah, as you can see, and like I was mentioning, it's poured that really bright and golden yellow colour. There's a lot of that Belgian yeast coming out of the aroma of this beer already, but if I put my fingers behind that glass, you can see really pale golden straw colour, this one, which is what you expect from the Witbier. It's completely hazy, one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there, and you can see the head is just starting to disappear a little bit with this beer. But you know, it does look pretty much as you would expect a Witbier to, a really nice interesting looking beer. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Head's just collapsing, it's quite cool actually. So yeah, as you would expect, nice big bready quality from this beer. It's got that typical kind of Belgian doughy yeasty sort of thing going on, but there's a good bit of wheaty presence in there. There's a little bit of coriander as well, which is what you'd expect. When you sugar it up a little bit, you start to get a bit more of the smoke out of it actually when you give the beer. When you sugar the beer up a little bit, you do start to get that nice smoky wheaty character out of it. It is a little bit more of a kind of meaty smoke that's coming out of this one, but it's not overly meaty, if that makes sense. It's quite nice though. It's more, the smoke does have a little bit of an almost caramelly note to it as well, but that's kind of false because this beer won't have any caramel flavours in it at all, I wouldn't think. But yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of spicy note to it, definitely the coriander like I was saying. There's maybe a little touch, I don't know, about ginger or something like that. But overall, it's actually quite a sweet smelling beer this. You've got the nice white wheaty bready malts from the Witbier side of the beer. You've got a little bit of that doughy Belgian bready yeast coming out of it. There's maybe, as I say, I don't know, there's a little bit of an almost biscuity kind of thing going on with the smoked aspect of the beer. It is more of a meaty smokiness that's coming off this one. There's a little bit of coriander, maybe a little bit of, as I say, I don't think ginger's quite right for this. There is another kind of sort of slightly spicy note to this one, but there's a little bit of a grassy kind of floral hop going on. There's a little bit of a citrusy note coming out of the beer, which is good. It kind of has pretty much everything you would expect from a wit beer, to be quite honest with you. But it does, you know, it does smell really quite nice. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in, because it is definitely quite interesting. So yeah, let's have a taste of this beer then. So this one is the Adamanteia, a smoked wit beer from Cerveja Colossus in Porto in Portugal. Let's get stuck into this beer. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that is pretty nice. I mean, I always enjoy smoked beers, like I say, but this one, it's interesting because it just has a little bit more kind of crispness to it, and you know, that probably will be down to the fact that it's from Portugal. Portugal's quite a hot country. They do want their beers to be kind of drinkable and sessionable. You do want them to be quite crisp and refreshing. But yeah, I do remember when I tasted this beer before, I thought the smokiness was a little bit more prominent than it is, and maybe that was just on the kind of first taste of the beer, but the smokiness really starts to come out of this one as you move further and further into the aftertaste of the beer. But it's just, this beer, definitely for me, it's all about how these different flavours kind of blend together. It's not overly punchy in any one regard. Of course, with Witbier, it does lean towards the wheat kind of side of things in terms of its flavour, but it's not overly punchy in that way. It's everything about this beer. It's just all about how these flavours kind of blend together. Yeah, it's nicely done. It really is just very, very nicely done. So with this one then, I would say that nice wheaty malt base, that just blankets the middle of your tongue. On top of that, there's a little bit of a slightly thicker, doughy, bready, yeasty kind of thing, and the smoky malts are just sitting in there as well. It's almost got this kind of U shape in the middle of your tongue where those smoky malts are there, but they start to come out a little bit more as you move further and further into the aftertaste of the beer. But yeah, there's a little bit of a toasty, grainy quality to this beer as well. But overall, I would say the malt base is quite sweet. There's definitely an element of a kind of coriander flavour in this one, which is what you'd expect. That sort of gingery, other spicy thing that I was picking up in the aroma, that doesn't really come across more in the flavour. The malt base is very straight up, that sort of white bready quality, the big Belgian doughy, yeasty sort of things, the big bready, yeasty qualities, and then a little bit of that kind of smoked malt in there as well. But overall, it's just a really nice beer. It's really nice. On the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, teeny little bit of earthiness, but it's actually quite floral along the sides of your palate. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and grassy as well. Then this beer, if you just go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice kind of fruity esters start to come out of the beer. But overall, this one, it's just quite a lemony citrus that comes out of it. I do like, it's very much a straight up wit beer, but just with a little bit of that smoky character blending into it. That's a good way to kind of sum it up. It does taste like a typical Belgian wit beer, although that said, I think it's a little bit more crisp than some of the Belgian ones that I've had. And the smoky character that comes out of it is really nice as well. But yeah, it's just a really nice, it's a very, very solid beer, this one. You can't really ask for much more of it than that. It's really nicely done. I would be interested to see what he could do, on the basis of how good this beer is. I would be really interested to see what he could do with a kind of straight up wit beer. I think it'd be interesting to take the smoky element out of it and try and play with that, with the wit beer a little bit, because I think there's a very, very solid base in there. The smoky character makes it really nice, don't get me wrong about that, but I would be interested to see how Hal could do producing just a straight up wit beer. I think that would be a really cool experiment for him. But overall, it's a really nice beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink that again. And to be honest, you wouldn't think about a wit beer coming from Portugal, and I suppose that's the kind of novelty point that you have with this beer, especially a smoked wit beer. Smoked wit beers aren't all that common from what I gather. But he's certainly done a nice job with this one, so it's quite a unique beer, and I guess it's one that you really just need to try for yourself. There's a little bit of that banana flavour, like as I think about this beer a little bit more, there is a little touch of that kind of clovey banana sort of thing going on in this beer, but for me it's very straight up, kind of wheaty and bready. More than anything, the banana clovey kind of complex character that comes out of this, it does start to build just a little bit later on in the beer. But overall, it is really nice, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this beer's mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a good little bit of crispness to it. Again, that's something you would associate a little bit more with the Belgian styles, the bottle conditioning and things and the yeast that they use. So maybe it's to do with that, but it would suit Portugal, I guess, when it's a very, very hot country. The mouthfeel, mixture between smooth and wet, I would say. It's got a good balance to the mouthfeel. The malt base overall, I think it leans a little bit more towards the kind of sweeter side of things, but the bready, yeasty characters, I suppose, are kind of bringing out a little bit more of that sweetness there. There's a little bit of bitterness from the hops, and there's just a little bit of a touch of fruity character in there. It does have a bit of that kind of lemongrassy sort of citrus to the flavour, but overall, it's a really, really solid beer. It's one that I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink again, and like I say, it would be cool to see how experiment a little bit with this. and try a more kind of straight up wit beer, but as a smoked wit beer, it's a really lovely beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. So yeah, let's leave it at that. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Cerveja Colossus as well, and do let me know some other Portuguese beers and breweries that I should be checking out. It's really cool to see that they are starting to make their way over into different countries, so hopefully when I move back to Sweden, I can find a few of these in Copenhagen when I go across there. So yeah, really interesting beer this one, and I'm glad that I got to review it. So a shout out again to the guys at Market Hall Wines in Durham for making this one available to me. It's been really cool to review this for you. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, stand you just now, and I will catch you guys later. This was the Adamanteia from Cerveja Colossus in Portugal over in Europe. Really nice smoked wit beer, this one. Slange just now. Skål.